I have transcended my mortal coil. I am one with the music and three with the tiddies. You, me, us, together, synergy.
Yo, what the fuck are you doing?
Huh? I was just gonna break down drowning your titties for all the lovely people at home.
All right, so we're in the session right now, and this is actually the first of two sessions. Most of the time, I'll have one session dedicated just to sound design, composition, and basic mixing stuff. I'll duplicate that session, bounce all the audio to MIDI, and then in the other session will be when I do a more precise mix down of everything and where I group everything together and build all my transitions and actually put the song together. This is just kind of getting all the sounds together and making sure that they all sound good. This is a pretty small session. Outside of my vocals, there's really only about 8 tracks to mess with. So I have this main electric piano that's just going to be like my pad to kind of carry the song. That's going to sound like this by itself. Ooh, shit. I have another like electric piano that I have kind of playing like a melody over that sounds like this with the pad. And then on top of that, I also have my lead. And this is the main lead of the song. This is the lead that I play the solo with. But I actually recorded the solo in the other session. So we won't see that until we get there. But I do have this beginning lead, which all three of those instruments together sounds like this. Some tasty juice. Up next, I got these bells. This is kind of the second half of the first verse. And these they fade in. You know, I have an automation right here on the frequency. So as the instrument goes along, it kind of opens up and it becomes brighter. So when you first hear it by itself, you don't hear much, but as it progresses, it gets louder and louder, but it just gets like brighter and brighter. So this is what it sounds like at the beginning. You can't hear it, but if you go to the end, it's a lot more open because that frequency is just happening. Outside of that, I got choir at the very end. Hear that by itself. And that's when I bring in the key change at the end. With the key change, you kind of want to like not really change up the instrumentation, but everything goes up a notch. So like, what can we do to really put this over the edge? Fucking add a choir, you know? The last instrument outside of the drums, we just have our bass. Let's hear that by itself. For bass, I actually used a contact plugin. Native Instruments makes like a bass VST that I really, really fucking like to use a lot. I have a bass, I play bass. I mean, I'm okay. But I usually write all my bass lines on a bass, but then I play them on this VST. It's just so much easier. It sounds better. It's not like recording bass is kind of a hassle. If you like, I have kind of shitty equipment. It's just not worth my time or energy. I get a much better sounding bass, much easier to play with. You know, if I want to change one note, I don't have to re-record the whole thing. I can just move it in the MIDI. And it's an excellent plugin. If you just add a few, you know, I just have like EQ compressor, saturator. If you just add a little bit to it, you can really get it sounding good. And even for it being like a VST, it still sounds fucking awesome. Up next, I just have my basic drums that sound like this. With those drums, one thing I like to do a lot is I'll kind of layer my drums with just another like backbeat that I'll affect a lot. But if I just play that by itself, it sounds like this. Basically what that is, it's just a drum break, but I EQ'd out most of it. I hit it with a vocoder, a flanger, and then I have some LFOs that are kind of affecting random things on the flanger to kind of make it sound like it's moving a little bit. You know, auto pan, compressor, reverb, all basic stuff. But if I add that with the drums, it adds so much texture to the drums. It just kind of fills in all that space that the drums are, because I didn't want the drums to be super crazy over the top. It's like a slow song, but you still need, it's kind of boring without it. So if I listen to the two together, this is what it sounds like. And this is without the backbeat. It doesn't really add a whole lot, but it adds enough. You will probably hear that a lot better in the second session when I really get down to my mixing and like I start grouping things together and putting like compression on things and really bringing out a lot of the things that you might not hear right now. All that's left is I just have my vocal group right here, and these are already kind of mixed and bounced to audio. I can't give away all my secrets yet, sorry. But here, this is what these all sound like by themselves.
Hey baby, I wanna dive right in.
And you can see what I did is at the very end, I automated like a send. You know, I have a send going out to my lead delay, and I automated how much I want to send to that delay at the end of each line. So that's how it goes. Like it goes, hey baby, 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 and it just keeps going because I automated that, right? So up here I got a basic 3-part harmony. You know, when it goes, I've been a bad boy. When it does that, I have a high and a low harmony, and then the main vocal is like the center. So those 3 harmonies, this is what it sounds like, all 3 voices together.
I've been a bad boy, and I'm looking for sin.
Let's see, and then you can hear that delay. Yeah, it's just a high and a low harmony. Nothing super wild, but here, let's listen to just the harmonies by themselves. So that's basically it for this session. A lot of the mixing that I've done in this session is just basic compression, EQ, stuff like that. You know, I have my electric piano. I just have a compressor, saturator, an EQ, a chorus, auto pan. I don't have anything on this choir. This just got a compressor, a little bit of reverb. There's not a whole lot going on this mix. So let me open up the second session, and then we'll get into deeper about how I actually mix and how I bring things together to give you like the full picture. So let's check that out real quick.
Hey baby, I wanna dive right in.
Hey Aldi's, you got some dank ass pizza. Woo! This is some spicy pizza. So we're back at it. I'm in the second session right now. And as you can see, there's a little bit more going on. This is kind of where I've added all my little transitions. I grouped everything together. There's a lot more compression going on. And I added a few instruments to just kind of tie everything over. I got my drums right here. Didn't really change anything with those. I have a synth group, and then I have another group inside of that. Yo, Ableton 10, they give you groups on groups on groups on groups on groups on groups on groups. It's the shit. I love it. Every single mix is that much better. I just got my e-piano here. I think this is something I've added. What's this sound like? That's in the last chorus before it goes to the key change, just another synthesizer. Apparently I already added that and bounced that to audio. Sorry, but it says Serum, so I probably made it in Serum. And I know I added another pad on the second half of that verse to kind of fill in the space a little bit, but that sounds like this. I'm pretty sure that was made with Wavetable, synth that they added to Ableton 10. It's really cool. I used it a lot. Like you saw it in the last one, I didn't really talk about it as much, but I know like these bells that I was talking about where I automated the cutoff, those were made in Wavetable, and the electric piano lead that I had was also made in Wavetable. I got these choir that I still haven't really done anything with. Sounds good enough, just like a low pass and compressor. So I got my lead down here, and I have my solo here that I bounced to audio, but underneath it, I still have the MIDI. I have the MIDI turned off, but eventually I'm gonna need to like learn this solo so I can play it, like perform it. You know, I did write it and I did play it when I played it, but I don't practice it. So if you ask me, hey, play the solo and drown right now, I wouldn't be able to fucking do it because I don't fucking remember how it goes. But I have it here so I can learn it later. So when COVID gets COVID and dies, we can perform and I can shred, and then you can like throw your bras on stage. That'd be cool. I mean, you don't have to, but it'd be cool. But realistically speaking, man, all I've really done with this session is I've kind of grouped together like instruments. You know, I usually do a synth group, and then like I leave bass separate out of that because I put all my synths together. I compress them, I EQ them, I kind of pan everything where it needs to be, do my bass. And then I have all my transition things. Right here in the beginning, I have these chimes. Because every romantic song has to start with wind chimes. Kind of automate a reverb, a delay, an auto filter to them. So as they go, they kind of fade out instead of just playing and being there. Definitely automation is something that's, especially for like transition's sake, for something that needs to like move from one spot of the song to another, you kind of have to automate things to do that. You're not going to get any movement. And, you know, if your song is moving, then the people's asses are moving. You know, we're trying to get people to dance. We're trying to get people to have a good time. And even if you're not necessarily making dance music, you're still trying to get movement within people. And automation is probably the easiest way to like literally get movement within your song. And if you can kind of translate that to something that just creates a rhythm in and of itself, then I mean, you're already 10 steps ahead of the game. So underneath that, I got, what is this? Oh, I also have the ocean. The song is called Drown in Your Titties, so obviously there's the water, but also oceans are romantic. Oceans and wind chimes. How are you supposed to seduce your woman without a wind chime? Everything is just kind of grouped together. I use this isotope plugin a lot. It's ozone, but it's like a stereo widener type thing. Usually I'll slap that on like my synth groups and pick a preset and just kind of tweak it from there. But yeah, besides that, everything is kind of grouped together. And, you know, I have my vocal groups, everything is in its own little group. And then I group everything together, and there's just layers and layers and layers of compression to get everything, not necessarily loud, but kind of present and give everything space. That's kind of what mixing boils down to, is not necessarily things being louder or quieter, but everything having their own place in the concept of the song. Realistically speaking, this is my technical mix, but a lot of this is really just listening. It's not my super precise mix because I have 50,000 plugins. It's my super precise mix because I have a few plugins perfectly set to where they need to be, to where I'm not overstepping anything else in the song, but I'm also not overproducing and adding stuff that just doesn't need to be there. For a song like this I wanted to be slow, romantic. Then I obviously didn't want to put too much into it. You know, sometimes I love songs that are more electronic and more synthesized, so I want to kind of experiment a little bit more. But the easier the song, the more simple it is, the more people gravitate towards it. Not everything needs to be this overindulgent, huge mix. I've learned in my time that I'm not necessarily making music for other producers. I'm making music for normal people, and normal people don't have the ear for mix downs that I have, or that you might have, or that someone who's making music has. They don't give a shit what your synthesizer's doing. They just give a shit if it sounds cool. So if it sounds cool and you don't have to like run to the moon and back, then that's fine. If you can get something sounding fucking great with just very bare minimum tools, then you're already 10 steps ahead of the game. And that's not to say that you shouldn't experiment, because you absolutely should, but you have to lay your foundation first. Some people have shitty sounds and they just mix and mix and mix and put so many effects on them just to make them sound good. And then sometimes they just sound like shit, you know, and it's a waste of time to just spend all that time and energy putting into something that just sounds like shit. So again, better sounds, better mixes, better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. That's gonna be it for this video today. If there's any other songs that I have that you would like me to do this for, I'd be more than glad to. Let me know in the comments below. This is kind of new to me. I'm learning how to do this, so hopefully, you know, I'll get better with time. But if you have any other questions about this song or anything, just please feel free to reach out to me. All my social media is at grasskingdoms, but all that shit is in the links below. Thanks for watching. Buy a shirt, leave some comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, go watch this video, go fucking show it to your girlfriend, show it to your mom, show it to your grandma, show it to your sister. I mean, maybe not all of them, but show it to whoever the fuck you want. Okay, I would appreciate all the plays. all the views, all the love. And yeah, until next time, I'll see you then. Love ya.
Suffocate me, baby. Squeeze the air out of my lungs. Fall asleep forever on a cloud I'm up above.